Have you ever been in a conversation that leaves you feeling completely dizzy, exhausted, and maybe even questioning your own reality? Well, today we're going to map out exactly what's going on. We're talking about the You Misunderstood Me reset, and we're going to take a journey from that feeling of total chaos to a place of real, solid clarity. So let's get into it. So here's the most striking truth about this whole dynamic. The You Misunderstood Me reset. It doesn't actually work by hiding the truth. It works by making the truth completely irrelevant, just by causing the entire conversation to collapse. We all think that if we just have the receipts, if we have their exact words, we can win the argument. But in these high-pressure situations, your own very normal biological drive for clarity and logic gets twisted and used against you, turning your understanding into a symptom of your own emotional bias. And that right there leads to this absolutely maddening question. Why is it that a person who just hurt you somehow ends up spending the next 40 minutes lecturing you on why you're just too sensitive to hear them correctly? It's a paradox, right? This is the core of what's called semantic shifting. That exact moment your desire to be fair, your need to get it right, becomes the very thing that leads to your total psychological exhaustion. This isn't just a simple misunderstanding, it is a strategic maneuver, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how it works. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the conversation collapse. Then we'll dive into the clarity trap, that's what keeps you stuck. From there, we'll break down the semantic playbook step by step, figure out the why with the immunity motivation, and then we'll equip you with the sovereignty shield. All of this is gonna lead us to one powerful idea: your mind, your territory. Okay, first up, the conversation collapse. This is all about that deeply frustrating experience where your own logic, your own fairness gets turned into a weapon against you. So picture this. You walk into a conversation trying to solve a problem. You've got your facts, you have a real desire to be understood, but then somehow the whole conversation just pivots. And suddenly you're not defending your point anymore, you're defending your basic ability to see and hear things correctly. That exhausting turn? That is semantic shifting. It's designed to make you run in circles until you're just too tired to even remember what you were talking about in the first place. So how does that happen? Well, that brings us to our next piece of the puzzle, the clarity trap. We're about to put a name on all that invisible, absolutely draining work that this whole dynamic forces you to do. It all kicks off with a tactic called intentional ambiguity. This is all about using flexible language. Think about a boss who says something's coming down the line, or a relative who says something mean and then follows it up with, "Geez, I was only joking." The whole point is to say something that could mean a few different things at once, and that forces you to do all the heavy lifting, all the interpretive work to figure out what they really meant. And of course, that ambiguity, it's bait. It leads you right into what we call the clarity hook. And this is the trap. It's that little voice in your head, that deep down belief that if you can just find the perfect words, if you just explain it one more time with perfect logic, they'll have that aha moment and finally get it. But here's the thing, their goal was never understanding. It was control. The hook just keeps you talking, keeps you invested while they get to avoid all responsibility. Now, if this cycle repeats over and over, it can lead to something called linguistic vertigo. And it's a real thing, that dizzy, off-balance feeling where the conversational ground is just constantly shifting beneath you. You start second-guessing every word you say. You find yourself saying things like, "Okay, wait, when I say upset, I don't mean angry, I just mean..." You're doing all this exhausting work up front because you've been conditioned to believe that any confusion is automatically your fault. So look, here's the absolute most important reframe. What's happening here is not a miscommunication. It's not an accident. It's a systematic calibration. It's a process designed to perfectly connect their actions to your guilt. It ends with you apologizing for how you reacted to what they did. Think about that. It's a complete 180-degree reversal of accountability. Now, I know this all feels completely chaotic when you're in the middle of it, right? But believe it or not, there's a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you start to take its power away. So let's get into section 3, the semantic playbook. The playbook really has 3 predictable moves. First, they drop the ambiguity anchor. It's a small, vague statement with plausible deniability, just to see what they can get away with. Second, the moment you call them on it, bam, the pivot to intent. It's no longer about the impact of what they did, it's all about their pure, misunderstood intentions. And third, the final move, educational dominance. They become the patient teacher, there to kindly explain to you why your brain is just misinterpreting them. And this chart just lays it out so perfectly. You walk into the conversation over here on the left side, you want to talk about their action and its impact. Your goal is accountability. But they drag you kicking and screaming over to the right side. Now the new topic is your reaction, the focus is on their intent, and the goal, it's not resolution anymore, it's your re-education and ultimately your submission. And what's the end game of this whole playbook? It's something we call semantic erasure, and it's just as serious as it sounds. It's the complete invalidation of your point of view. Your experience, your feelings, what you saw and heard, it's all just erased and replaced with their official story. And over time, you don't just lose the argument, you actually start to lose trust in your own mind. So the big question is, why? I mean, why would anyone go to all this trouble? What's the real motivation here? That's what we're digging into in section 4, the immunity motivation. When you boil it all down, the core motivation is one thing: total deniability. I mean, think about it. If you can control the official definition of your own words and actions, you become completely immune to accountability. You can literally do or say anything and then just claim it meant something else. This isn't about winning one argument, it's about getting absolute leverage over someone else's reality. And this is where the wires get so badly crossed. You've got two people playing two totally different games on the very same field. The controller is driven by this need for total deniability. Their whole strategy is to own the meaning. But you, the target, your vulnerability is your need for logical consistency. You just want to be a fair, good listener. Your trap is that you believe you're both trying to find a shared meaning. But you're not. Your goals are in direct opposition. And the scary part is, this works so well because it's basically hacking our brain's default settings. It preys on stuff like attribution bias. It's just really hard for us to condemn an action if we're told the intention behind it was good. It also exploits our natural drive for social cooperation. Our brains want to agree just to make the friction stop. And finally, you just hit a wall. It's called executive exhaustion. Your brain gets tired and you stop even noticing the original problem because you're so busy defending yourself from the new one, your supposed lack of nuance. Okay, I know that was a lot. We've defined the problem, we've seen the playbook, we get the motivation, but now we get to the most important part. Section 5, the sovereignty shield. Let's talk about the tools you can use to start reclaiming your own perception. So the first tool is a really simple diagnostic you can run for yourself. It's called the impact versus intent audit. It's just 3 steps. Step 1, just write down what happened. Step 2, and this is the big one, ask yourself, does this pattern of misunderstanding only seem to happen right when they're about to be held accountable for something? And step 3, identify whether their calls for nuance are really about making things clearer or just making them murkier. Is it clarification or obfuscation? Doing that little audit helps you build a powerful new mindset, literalist awareness. This is where you make a conscious decision to just disengage. You are no longer going to debate their secret hidden motives. You refuse to play that game. Instead, you calmly and repeatedly bring the conversation back to tangible reality. What were the literal words that were said, and what was the tangible effect that they had? You don't have to be a mind reader, you just have to be an observer. And please, if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this right here. Your confusion is not a personal failure. It is not a sign that you're too sensitive or not smart enough. It is the intended outcome of the whole process. It's a completely normal biological response to a very sophisticated kind of social engineering. And once you see that, you can stop blaming yourself and start observing the game being played. And that brings us right to our final section, the single biggest idea that ties all of this together: your mind, your territory. You know, it really all comes down to a simple, powerful truth. If you need a user's manual, a decoder ring, and a 40-minute lecture to understand someone's kindness, it isn't kindness. It's just not. Real, genuine communication isn't supposed to be this hard. So how do you break the cycle? You give yourself permission to stop trying so hard. You don't have to get it. Your mind is your own territory, and you get to protect its borders. And you do that with one simple shift. Stop decoding, start observing. That is the path to perceptual sovereignty.